Yankees make baseball history doing something that's never been done before in the same season. The Astros come back late against the Tigers, and the Phillies have a wild walk-off against the Nationals after they give up the lead in the ninth. We've got the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network here to cover every game. This is Locked On MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Thank you for being here for Locked On MLB Game Night, where it's every game, every night. My name is John Frisch. I'm one half of the co-host of Locked On Angels. With me is JD Hafron from Locked On Cardinals. Happy to be your host tonight, and we're going to get into a full slate of games. But first, we want to thank our friends at Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. JD, good to be with you, my friend. We got a full slate of games today, don't we?
A lot of ball to talk about, a lot of exciting games. We've got things that have never happened before going on this date in baseball. This is fantastic. I'm ready to roll.
Let's roll. Hey, let's start with Yankees and Orioles. The Yankees all over the Orioles in this one, looking to expand their lead in the AL East while also kicking some dirt on these underachieving Orioles who had a big win yesterday, but didn't keep it going in this one. They're in the bottom of the AL East, and they came out swinging. The Yankees did 1 month to the day that they blasted former Yankees pitcher Nestor Cortez and the Brewers. The Bombers hit back-to-back home runs off Kyle Gibson, who was making his 2025 debut with Baltimore. They become the first team in AL and NL history to hit back-to-back homers to start a game twice in one season. For more, we're going to go to the local expert at Locked On Yankees. Let's hear what Brian McKeon has to say from the Yankees side.
An explosion of offense from the Yankees, very eerily similar to the first series of the season. But to me, the important story from this game is Carlos Rodon and the appearance that he had in his best start of the year. I'm Brian McKeon from Locked On Yankees. You can catch us every single day, Monday through Friday. We go on after every single Yankee game, and you can catch us in the morning when our episodes go live. And, you know, the Yankees scoring a lot of runs. We've literally seen this before this year. We've seen 3 in a row to start the game. We've seen 4 in the first inning. That's all old news, dare I say. What I will say is Carlos Rodon not feeling like he has run support. Carlos Rodon pitching like it's Game 7 of the World Series. Carlos Rodon coming into this game with the same amount of intensity that you want to see him have throughout the entire season while your ace is injured. Again, I'm Brian McKeon from Locked On Yankees, and we'll be discussing all of that this week and beyond the season on Locked On Yankees.
Ooh, how about that? All that offense, and that's old news, JD. How about that?
I mean, it must be nice for Brian and the Yankees over there to be like, you know what, hitting all of these bombs in the first inning and just making history. Who cares? Carlos Rodon is the story in this one. I'd be doing backflips if I knew how to do a backflip, if my Cardinals were doing something like that. But, you know, that's something that the Yankees are used to. They have seen this already this year, and it's amazing that they were able to pull it off again. Felt bad for Kyle Gibson. He's a former Cardinal, and he's a local St. Louis guy. Felt bad for him, but the Cardinals did that to him when he was a Philly, too. They hit 4 off of him in a game before, so he's been down this road before. Felt bad for him. He was getting booed as he walked off the diamond today, so rough outing. There'll be better days.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of better days, the Phillies almost had a bad day until they didn't. That was 7-6 over the Nationals. Phillies are trying to keep pace with the red-hot Mets, and so who better than to beat up on than the Nationals, who didn't make it easy. This one came down to a wild and crazy 9th inning. Let's go to Phillies host Connor Thomas for more on what happened in this Phillies game.
What in God's name just happened in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park? I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. Let's try and break it down in under a minute. Zach Wheeler was awesome. Then he gets pulled from the game. Johan Rojas makes a mistake in the field, then goes yard, which he doesn't go yard. Trey Turner was awful in the field, but then also had an amazing night at the plate. And then Rojas makes another error late, and Orion Kerkering gives up a 3-run bomb to give up the lead in the top of the ninth. And then the Phillies take the lead back with a walk-off in the bottom of the ninth that was a wild pitch that Bryson Stott kind of half broke on to score. Oh, and by the way, Rojas, who made the mistake in the top of the ninth on a line drive that he completely misread somehow, was the one who had an RBI sac fly that Alec Boehm should have been thrown out on, and Keibert Ruiz couldn't handle the play behind the dish. Does that pretty much sum it all up? What a weird, wild night in Philadelphia. The Phils find a win. It wasn't pretty. We'll take it. We'll talk more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
Hey, it's a win in the scorecard and in the scorebooks, right, JD?
That it is. Connor looks like he was going through something during that game. A lot of stress. Those Phillies guys, man, they take this stuff really, really personally. And so when they're losing a game specifically to somebody in their own division, they don't take that lightly. So it looks like Connor, he was worked up at one time or another, probably doing some leaps of faith and stuff in his living room while watching that one. But chaotic into a game there. It was something else.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't been happy with his Phillies bullpen lately. But, despite Nathaniel Lowe coming through with the 3-run jack for the Nats, down to their last strike, it just wasn't enough, and the Phillies were able to come back. Now, in the agony of defeat, here's a Locked On expert and host of Locked On Nationals, Ryan Clary, as he gives us his perspective from the Nationals side.
Today is all about missed opportunities. It always sucks to lose against the Philadelphia Phillies, but it hurts a lot more when you lose the way that you just did. I'm Ryan Clary from Locked On Nationals, and the Nationals unfortunately dropped this wild ball game 7-6. You had a lot of missed opportunities in there. In that 8th inning, bases loaded, nobody out. Josh Bell, Dylan Cruz, Alex Call, back-to-back strikeouts against Alvarado, who has killed us from day one. In that 9th inning, Nathaniel Lowe finally goes yard to break his 0-1 streak tonight, taking it up to 6-5. Then the Nationals, Kyle Finnegan, man. Dylan Cruz throws a beam over to home plate. Keibert Ruiz could not handle it. And then the wild pitch. And sometimes it sucks losing, but again, it sucks losing to the Phillies.
Specifically the Phillies.
I think we all agree with that. It just sucks losing, and for some reason or another, it stings a little more when the Phillies beat you, especially when you're in the division. Yeah, we were watching that game, John, and the throw that Dylan Cruz made, excellent throw. It was almost like Ruiz was trying to stay like touching home plate while he reached. Right. It was just, I don't know, it was just bad. He could have made a play, and unfortunately didn't get it done, and Phillies were able to capitalize. A wild pitch to win the game. Crazy
stuff there. How about Tigers meeting the Astros in Houston? 6-4 win for the Astros. They're, saying, hey, don't forget about us. We're still in this fight, especially in the AL West, where nobody's really ran away with that division so far. So let's go to Brett from Locked On Astros to talk about this big win for his team.
Well, the Houston Astros, when they score 4 runs or more, they win. That's right there now, 10-1 when they score 4 runs or more. Hello, I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. You are Locked On Astros. And what do you know? The Tigers come to town as the hottest team in the American League, and the Astros take the first 2 of a 3-game set. And they win with gusto. That's right. Yainer Diaz had himself a game today. So did Christian Walker, as he has been heating up. Make sure that you tune in to Locked On Astros as we talk about this trend of riding a wave of consistency that this offense should be riding and will continue to ride as they go for a sweep against Detroit for a daytime matchup against the Tigers before they head out of town. So, look, great win tonight for the Astros. They're looking good. The pitching is sustaining itself, and the hitting's coming along. Stay tuned on the Locked On Astros. We're your team every day.
Yeah, he mentioned it, the Tigers being the hottest team in the American League, but Scott from Locked On Tigers is probably not feeling very great about losing 2 in a row to this Astros team. Let's hear what Scott had to say.
Well, I'm going to say something I have not said all year. the bullpen blows it for the Tigers. I'm Scott Bentley, host of Locked On Tigers. A 6-4 loss in Houston for Detroit. They will drop this series. They haven't done that too often this year. Will Vest, who's been one of the best relievers in all of baseball, just absolutely implodes on the mound, gives up 3 earned runs, 5 hits, so I think a walk in there. Just did not have it in this ball game, and it was costly, and that's kind of the give and take with how the Tigers are assembled, right? 4 runs, not a terrible day at the office, right, for the offense, but they know that they are built around pitching. And that means that if your pitching has an off night and isn't literally perfect like it has been for almost all of this season, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. And that's where they found themselves. Gleyber Torres with a great game at the plate, though. Kerry Carpenter with a really solid day at the plate as well. The top half of the lineup, actually, in its entirety was really good. Riley Green, Torkelson, all of them. The 6 through 9 hitters, with both pinch hitters included, combined got on base 1 single time. That was a Trey Sweeney walk, or a Jace Young walk, rather. Literally everybody else over, pinch hitters included. Not going to win too often without that depth. And we'll talk about that and more tomorrow on Locked On Tigers.
Good stuff there from Scott, and does a great job with Locked On Tigers. JD, take us over to the Cubs and the Pirates. The Cubs all over the Pittsburgh Pirates, aren't they?
Yeah, Cubs continue to be one of the, as much as this makes me want to throw up in my own mouth, the Cubs continue to be one of the best teams in the National League, facing their Central Division rival.
Sorry
Pirates
to do that to you, by the way.
Yeah, it's okay. It's part of the gig, but you got to give them credit. You got to give them credit. I would expect the same in return if the Cardinals were actually good at anything. Anyway, first of 3 of B and C between the Cubs and the Pirates. Andrew Heaney had been a standout starter for the Pirates so far this year, but a true test here against the first-place Cubs. So let's go to Sam Olber of Locked On Cubs to see how the Cubbies were able to handle Heaney and also injury on to Shota Imanaga.
The Chicago Cubs played their first team under 500 all season Tuesday night and took care of business in a blowout victory. I'm Sam Olber from Locked On Cubs, and look, that was the hot news all day. Cubs haven't played a team under 500 all year. That's great, but when you do play those teams, you got to make sure you take care of business, and that's what the Cubs did Tuesday night. Shota Imanaga pitched very well, 5+ innings of shutout baseball until he left injured, but the good news is it's being reported as just cramps, and so hopefully he'll be able to make his next start. Carson Kelly continued his red-hot start to the season with a 2-run homer. Pete Crow-Armstrong added a homer. Dansby Swanson added a much-needed homer. And the Cubs took care of business, like we said, easily in Pittsburgh. They'll try and take the series on Wednesday night. Catch Locked On Cubs later tonight with all the breakdown from this game and even a little Kyle Tucker extension talk as that continues to heat up. Go Cubbies.
Hey, if the Cubbies keep doing what they're doing and I'm Kyle Tucker, give me all the money. I'd stick around in Chicago if I were him. But, I don't know how you feel about that personally, JD. But, hey.
If the Cubs are going to spend the money, then they've got the right guy to spend it on. Kyle Tucker, one of the best in the league, and he's proving his worth already. So eventually you got to pay these guys if you want to keep them, and that's just the way it is.
I'm just glad he's out of the AL West so he can't haunt my Angels anymore. Hey, thanks for joining us here on Locked On MLB Game Night. We've got much more to get to as we continue our look around the league, and we'll get into all of that coming right up. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Wonderful Pistachios. Of course, you know that it's one of the best snacks to bring with you to a ball game. So head on over to Wonderful Pistachios at wonderfulpistachios.com. Get yourself a bag or two from there. It's a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, a good source of protein. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you 10% and more of your daily value of protein. Plus, they're packed with fiber. If you're on the go and you're too busy and you're doing this and that, and you need a quick snack that's going to fill you up, Wonderful Pistachios is the way to go. And if you do the no shells variety, just get it done in 1 handful because that's all it's going to take. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. And if you love cracking open every shell and you want that satisfying crunch and, you're a little antsy watching the baseball game like I often am, the in-shell variety is a great classic favorite for you. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit Wonderful Pistachios to learn more. Back here on Locked On MLB Game Night, we're taking you around the league and a close one with the Twins and the Guardians. JD, take us to Cleveland right now.
Yeah, the Twins are over here trying to keep their winning streak rolling and get back into this battle for the AL Central. They got off that horrendous start. My Cardinals were sweeping them at the beginning of the year, and things just looked very, very bleak for them. There was a rain delay in this one, which pushed back the start time for quite a while, and then it ended up being a close game. It was 1-1 until the end, and the Guardians say, nah, not going to happen. Cleveland walks it off with a Kyle Manzardo home run. Justin from Locked On Guardians mentions not only the game-winning hit, but some adjustments made by their starter, Tanner Bybee.
Took some time, but the Guardians finally made an adjustment, and they won a baseball game where a position player didn't have to pitch. This is Justin Latta from Locked On Guardians. Tanner Bybee gave the Guardians the start they absolutely 100% needed. Came out, made the adjustment. The Twins were ambushing all the Guardians pitchers in the first pitch. They've been ambushed this year a lot to start the game. All their pitchers. Tanner Bybee came out, stopped throwing the four seam. He was throwing a lot of sinkers and cutters, keeping him off the fastball. He threw some first pitch breaking stuff. Was able to get in the 7th inning. It's the first time this year the Guardians have had a 7-inning performance for one of their starting pitchers. It's been a long year already doing that. The bullpen was great. The Guardians made some key defensive plays in this one as well. Stephen Kwan caught Ty France trying to turn a single into a double. Got back to first on only a throw he and Gabby Arias could make. That got him out of trouble. And then Emmanuel Clase came in. Doesn't hold runners that well. Bo Naylor nailed a pinch runner at second base in the 9th inning. That was key. And then Kyle Manzardo. The Guardians have been dominated by changeups all night long. Chris Paddock, reliever Louis Varland for the Twins came in and hung a changeup. Kyle Manzardo got it, hit a home run. Guardians a much-needed 2-1 win, a great pitching performance. It was a good performance overall, and they are back on the winning side of things. Check out Locked On Guardians for more.
Yeah, you guys had yourselves an interesting discussion on the Locked On MLB Squad show, didn't you, JD?
Yeah, we were talking about what would be the worst way to lose a ball game. Would you rather deal with a walk-off, like get walked off by somebody, or would you rather just get kicked in the teeth and get creamed? I'm one of those guys who would rather get creamed. It stings every single time a walk-off happens to you. I don't know how you feel about it, though, Jad.
Yeah, I've seen enough Angels getting creamed that, I'd like to keep it interesting until the end of the game for once. That'd be great. Speaking of which, we got Brandon from Locked On Twins, who's got his perspective from the Twins side of things. Here we go.
A wise man once said that waiting is the hardest part, and when you wait almost 3 hours to get a game started and then lose on a walk-off homer by Kyle Manzardo, then that is definitely true. Twins fall 2-1 as Louis Varland is taken deep by Manzardo. The series is even at a game apiece, and I'm Brandon Moore with your Locked On Twins post-game minute. Tanner Bybee looked way more like the guy who had a 3.47 ERA and 170-plus innings last year than the guy who came in with an ERA over 5 coming into Tuesday night's game. Only blemish was a Ty France homer, and otherwise gave up just 1 run over 7 innings. And the Guards also got a measure of revenge by throwing behind France on a single. He attempted briefly to stretch it into a double and was called out. The walk-off loss shouldn't cloud the fact, though, that the Twins have been pitching out of their minds the last 4 games with a 0.77 ERA, a 0.77 whip, a 4.64 OPS against, and more than a strikeout per inning. Pitchers getting it done. Up next, it's Pablo Day, as Pablo will take on Luis L. Ortiz, 5:10 p.m. first pitch. Wednesday evening, we will have full coverage of it for you. This is Locked On Twins.
Always a good feeling when you got Pablo Lopez going out there for the Twins, of course. Let's take it over to the AL West. The A's meet the Rangers in Texas. The Rangers all over the A's after losing one yesterday. They said, you know what? We're not happy about losing that series a couple of weeks ago. And they had their ace out there, JD. Jacob deGrom making his 6th start of the season. He's been pretty good in his return so far this year. It hasn't factored into a win for the Rangers yet, but we've got Bryce from Locked On Rangers with the winning side of things and reacting to deGrom's start.
15 runs. Oh my goodness. The offensive explosion of a lifetime. I'm Bryce Paddock, host of Locked On Rangers, and the Texas Rangers offense was in a dire way all season, never scoring more than 3 runs in their last 6 games. And it was getting to the point where I wasn't sure if this offense was ever going to be fixed, but just an offensive bonanza, so much better with every single plate appearance, with every single swing decision. And oh, by the way, Jacob deGrom looks back to his fully actualized version of himself. He only had to throw 6 innings because, the Rangers dropped an 8 spot in the bottom of this, and they said, okay, well, your day's done. That's all we need from you, sir. And that will do it for a massive blowout win, a win that the Rangers desperately needed to have, and an offensive explosion that, quite honestly, was about 3 weeks overdue.
What are you thinking about deGrom's start to the season so far, JD?
When he's healthy, he's one of the best in baseball. Always has been. And you, as a baseball fan, you just want to see guys like that who have been dealing with injuries over and over and over, and you see how talented they are. You want them to be out there. You want them to be a part of this league and of this game that we love. So I'm really happy that deGrom's throwing well, and I think it's bad news for your Angels out there in the AL West. You're going to have to face him.
I know we missed him the last time they played the Rangers, so that was fortunate, but it's only a matter of time. But it's great to see him again being healthy as a baseball fan, and great to see him.
It's kind of like Mike Trout with your Angels.
No, 100%.
We need Mike Trout in this game, and it sucks when these guys are hurt and they're missing as much time as they have over the last couple of years. So I want them all to be able to play so that we can all enjoy them while we got them.
It's just good baseball when those guys are on the field. How about the Red Sox heading up to Toronto, 10-2 over the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays haven't won a series since they hosted the Braves back on April 14th. Meanwhile, the Red Sox trying to even out the season series so far after dropping 3 of 4 back at the beginning of April against the Jays. And the Sox, they weren't messing around in this one. Let's go to Gabby from Locked On Red Sox. She's the local expert, and she's got the insight on this Red Sox win.
Has Rafael Devers finally arrived for the Boston Red Sox? Sure seems like he might be, as he crushed another home run against the Blue Jays. Hi, I'm Gabby Maljanian from Locked On Red Sox, as the Red Sox won big 10-2 over the Blue Jays tonight with Garrett Crochet on the bump. But the biggest storyline in this game was all the home runs that the Red Sox crushed. 5 homers in the game. So they were feeling it. And Rafael Devers crushed a 422-foot home run. That's very notable because Devers has had an interesting start to the season, very up and down, but he has homered in 3 of the last 5 games. So this most recent home run tonight really makes you feel like we could be getting the Rafael Devers back that we all know and love, that possesses a ton of power and brings a lot to the plate when he's out there. He also has been taking walks a lot. He did take another walk in tonight's game. So he's getting on base a lot, something to keep track of moving forward. Be sure to tune in to Locked On Red Sox for more.
Seems like hitting at DH is working out pretty good for Rafi Devers, huh, JD?
Yeah, it was an adjustment early on, and I really didn't think about it when you always think like, hey, going to DH, I don't have to worry about anything else. Probably pretty easy to do, and it's not. You're missing those other things that go on during the game that kind of maybe get you out of thinking about hitting the entire time. So certainly adjustment, but we know that Devers, how good he can be, and I wasn't really worried about any of the slumping that was going on early on. I figured he'd get straightened out eventually.
Absolutely. Red Sox had 7 runs by the 3rd inning because of the home run parade that they put on the Blue Jays. And on the other side, all the 2 runs came from Vladdy Jr. and his 2-run home run. Let's take it to Diamondbacks at the Mets. It was 8-3 Mets. They were all over the Diamondbacks in this one. 2 of the top teams in the National League, both wanting to get to the playoffs this season. Right, JD?
Yeah, the Mets obviously going to get Soto. I've never been shy about spending money. And then you got the Diamondbacks who, they just got a lot of great athletes on their roster. And they go make the move to get Corbin Burns this year. Hasn't quite panned out the way they thought it would. But in tonight's game, the Mets, they brought the heavy lumber. They were smashing dingers left and right. And didn't work out so well for Arizona. We got Miller Thomas, our local expert for the Diamondbacks, to tell us about the ugly game from their starter, Eduardo Rodriguez.
Were those the D-backs or the Washington Generals? As they lost to the New York Mets 8-3. Miller Thomas, host of Locked on Diamondbacks here. The D-backs have been playing really struggling baseball recently, losing 5 of their last 6 games. They got destroyed in every phase against the New York Mets tonight. Erod, who has been challenging hitters all season, striking out opposing batters, lost every challenge to the Mets. 3 home runs allowed, 8 earned runs, probably the second worst performance this season by D-back starter, behind Merrill Kelly's 9 earned run performance to the other New York team, the Yankees. The defense, fine by the D-backs, but the Mets, my goodness, Pete Alonso turned into Christian Walker. Tyrone Taylor was making Superman diving plays in the outfield. And of course, you still had Francisco Lindor. Meanwhile, the D-backs offense, what did they do? More of the same of what we've seen over the last few games. 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. The only silver lining from this game is that in game number 2, you have the highest paid player in franchise history on the mound in Corbin Burns. Has he been elite or electric this season? No, but maybe he can finally get the D-backs back on track and get himself back on track against a team we're going to be fighting with all season long for a postseason spot in the New York Mets. So let's pray and hope Corbin Burns can deliver us a big win in game number 2. Stay tuned on Locked On Diamondbacks, your team every day.
Good stuff there from Millard. And we're going to continue our conversation and look around the league, including a huge night from Jorge Polanco, driving in all 5 runs for the Mariners. We'll get to that conversation and much more coming right.
The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action, because right now when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes it very easy to navigate through their app, so you know exactly what you're doing when it comes to the betting, whether it's picking your favorite team to win or diving into player props. We got 3-pointers, we got assists, we got steals. FanDuel's got so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. Golden State and Minnesota are going to have a chance to, in their respective series against the Rockets and the Lakers on Wednesday night. Both would be major upsets, and I've been preaching to you about Anthony Edwards from the T-Wolves. Steph Curry, obviously, you should know him from the Golden State Warriors. These are guys that you should be riding with me when it comes to player prop bets. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine your live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
We're going to keep it going with a rapid-fire look around the league. Let me take you to Seattle, where my Halos met the Mariners. First meeting between these two AOS teams this year. Angels had a hot start. Mariners didn't. Now the script is flipped, and Jorge Polanco has a huge day. Let's go to the local expert from the Locked On Mariners podcast, Ty Dane Gonzalez, with his insight on the big win for the Mariners.
2 words for you. Jorge Polanco. That's it. That's all that needs to be said. That's the takeaway from this game. This is Ty Dane Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast here. The reigning AL Player of the Week picked up right where he left off tonight. Mariners beat the Angels 5-3 as Polanco drives in all 5 of the M's runs on a couple of swings. 3-run shot and a 2-run shot. He nearly had a 3rd home run in this game that he missed by just a couple of feet. I'm running out of words to describe just how good Polanco has been to start this year. To call it unreal, to call it insane, feels like the understatement of the century. I don't think there's a word that actually exists in the English dictionary that can properly describe what we're seeing from Polanco right now, given what our expectations were, given what anyone's expectations were for Polanco heading into the season. And now the Mariners are going for their 7th consecutive series victory tomorrow. We'll see if they can get it done, and we'll talk to you on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. See you then. Peace.
From the Angels side of things, this one came down to, the Angels have been ice cold. They had better hitting tonight, but unfortunately, a bad call to the bullpen, bringing in a guy who's only in his 2nd major league game to face Jorge Polanco, and that's where they got the go-ahead runs, and ended up being 5-3. The Angels could have tied it before that Polanco home run, so just a bad call from Ron Washington in that bullpen decision.
When you're playing against somebody who's as white hot as Polanco is right now, it's almost best to just go ahead, go on down to first. We're not even gonna risk this right now. It's just it's a battle that you're probably not going to win. And unfortunately, your Angels learned the hard way.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Hey, take us over to Brewers meeting the White Sox. 7-2 Brewers all over the poor White Sox, JD.
Yeah, Brewers have been in a bit of a rut recently, and they're trying not to fall too far behind the Cubs and the surging Cincinnati Reds in the NL Central. And the Sox actually had an early lead in this one, but it all unraveled in that 6th inning when the Brew Crew played it 4 and never looked back after that. Here's Chuck from Locked On Brewers with his thoughts on how good their starter Freddie Peralta has been.
This road trip isn't turning out quite as bad as we thought. They're 3-5 right now after a 2-game winning streak. Hi, everybody. Chuck Freeman here. Locked On Brewers instant reaction. Freddie Peralta, his ERA is in the mid-2s right now, 2.52 through 7 starts. Pitched into the 6th inning, got a quality start. And the Brewers weren't exactly hitting the ball over the yard, but Peralta's pitching like an all-star right now. He hasn't been an all-star since 2021, but he's pitching like one. He's pitching like a top of the rotation type guy. I love what he's doing out there. He's going out, giving them some quality starts. And if you look at all 7 of his outings, he gave the 2 home runs early on, but he bounced back and was terrific. Now, they weren't giving him much offensive support. Only had 1 hit the Brewers did through 5 innings, but they bounced back and found a way to get a job done in Chicago against a bad team. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on tonight on Locked On Brewers. Please subscribe.
Freddie Peralta pitching like it's his walk year, it sounds like to me, JD. The Marlins and the Dodgers meeting in LA. Dodgers all over the poor Marlins. We got to go to Vince from the Locked On Dodgers podcast for more on this slaughter that the Dodgers put on the Marlins.
We're going to draw up a perfect bullpen game. I don't think you could have drawn it up any better than the Dodgers did on Tuesday night in Los Angeles. This is Vince from Locked On Dodgers, and shout out to Matt Sauer. He gave the Dodgers 5 innings in a time when they really needed innings because they've been crunched the last few days. Lost other guys now to the IL, and it's been a rough go, but they saved some arms. They only used 3 pitchers, Jack Dreyer, Matt Sauer, Luis Garcia. The Dodgers put up 15 runs. It was one of those nights where you remember, hey, baseball can be fun sometimes. Teoscar Hernandez is now the RBI leader in all of baseball after a big night. Andy Pages continued his big offensive week and hit another home run. And the Dodgers kind of got back into what they do, which is pound bad teams and win baseball games. And now they are the sole possession of first place. We'll talk about it more on Locked On Dodgers, where we get podcasts, and on YouTube.
I think we got hoodwinked by this talk about Sandy Alcantara before the season because now his ERA is up to 8.31, JD.
Yeah, it was rough. Just 2 2/3 innings today. First pitch of the game, home run by Ohtani, and it got ugly. 7 runs on 7 hits. He walks 5, which is the really scary thing is he can't seem to find any sort of consistency with the strike zone. He's all over the place. Coming back from injury, but this spring, people were talking about how good he looked, and so far it has not manifested into the regular season.
No, it hasn't panned out. Hey, let's take it over to Royals meeting the Rays down in Tampa, where the Royals take the 3-1 victory. Here's Locked On local expert from the Locked On Royals podcast, Jack, for more.
All of a sudden, the Royals have won 7 of 8 and are back to 500 following their 3-1 win in Tampa tonight. I am the host of Locked On Royals, Jack Johnson, and like many of these wins in the 7 of 8 victories, it's been the pitching that is taken on the majority of the workload, but tonight, timely hitting is the big takeaway here. Freddie Fermin has a 3-hit game, the first of his career. He comes through earlier in the game, getting Drew Waters over to third, who then scores on a sac fly, and then in the 8th inning, desperately needing some insurance runs, he just pokes one to the right side to give the Royals a 3-1 lead. Angel Serpa, Lucas Ursig, and Carlos Estevez lock it down in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning to keep Tampa at 1 run. And in large part, that 1 run was all that the Rays could get off of Michael Lorenzen, who also was phenomenal in his outing. That's back-to-back outings where he went 6 innings, a 1-run ball. Bullpen did its job. Offense did just enough. And even though they haven't broken out, feels pretty good to say they're back to 500.
Strong win there and a strong win streak. And I like what you had to say here, JD. Michael Lorenzen never misses a chance to lift weights, apparently, because that guy's a beast.
Dude is jacked. I did like a pretend arm wrestling match against him once when I was just doing a radio bit, and he just laughed. He could have used his finger and just beat me. Like, he's a massive dude. Couldn't be nicer guy though. Awesome dude.
Hey, the Braves are 1 win away from getting back to 500 after rolling over the Rockies today, and they're looking to complete the sweep tomorrow. Let's go to Jake from Locked On Braves for more.
Atlanta Braves win another series with an 8-2 win over the Colorado Rockies on Tuesday night. A.J. Smith-Shawver, excellent on the mound, but unfortunately leaves early with an injury. Jake Mastriani here from Locked On Braves, and offense continues to go. They score 8 runs in this one without a home run. The offense continues to get it done without the need for a home run. But the story in this one was A.J. Smith-Shawver having maybe his best performance as a big league pitcher. Very efficient, working into the 6th inning. Really, it only made 1 or 2 mistakes, but unfortunately takes a comebacker off the arm and has to exit the game. Haven't heard anything yet. Hopefully just as a precaution, as they were in the 6th inning. The Braves had a comfortable lead there, but hate that for A.J. Smith-Shawver. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he can be back soon, because this was the best version of A.J. Smith-Shawver that we have seen so far. We'll obviously cover this more over on the Postcast and Locked On Braves.
Good stuff from there from Jake. Giants, Padres. Padres over the Giants 7-4. You know, while the Dodgers are beating up on the Marlins, you got 2 NL West Giants, so to speak, duking it out for the best record in that division. And the Padres had lost 4 straight, but Xander Bogaerts did something that he hasn't done all season, right?
Yeah, he actually went yard, hit a home run in this
How about
one.
that?
Yeah, I remember when they gave him that contract, and a lot of us were scratching our heads, and we hate to say it, we told you so, but you know what? The Padres are winning even with him on the roster like this. So now the Giants were able to mount a comeback in this one, but it fell short for a couple of different reasons. We got Ben from Locked On Giants to tell us what went down in San Diego.
The Giants had their characteristic comeback tonight against the Padres, but a couple of uncharacteristic things ultimately did them in. This is Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. The uncharacteristic things: Logan Webb gives up 3 runs in the first, 2 runs later on, and then Randy Rodriguez, who hadn't allowed a run all year among a bullpen that has been the second best in baseball behind only these Padres, Randy Rodriguez gave up a 2-run homer. So the Giants ultimately gave up 7 on a night when Logan Webb started. So that's going to be hard to overcome. But the offense did come through. Willie Adames with a big home run, a double. He scored. Jung-Hoo Lee drove him in, and Lamont Wade Jr. with a big double down the line that made it a 1-run game after the Giants were down big. But ultimately, the late runs by the Padres sunk the Giants. So tomorrow, the finale of this quick 2-game series, and then we'll break it all down on the next Locked On Giants.
Speaking of breakdowns, you weren't able to get into the game today, JD. What happened?
John, I'll tell you what, bud. This was a frustrating one. So Mother Nature was a big old bee tonight, and she decided to rain out the game that was set between the Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds at Great American Ballpark. And it was a little frustrating, too, because we were actually at the gate ready to walk in.
Oh, no.
And that's when the announcement came down that they were going to postpone this one. And it was just a sad scene. We're not just a bunch of us with our heads down, walking away, like kicking dirt, like, yeah, you guys ruined our night. But it started pouring rain like 10 minutes later. So they made the right decision. They're going to be doing a double header on Wednesday. So we'll be at both of those games. Game 1's going to have Brady Singer, who's 4-0 so far this year, against Miles Michaelis, who has not had a lot of success at Great American Ballpark. He's got an ERA close to 6. So might see some fireworks in that first game. Game 2, by the way, and I want you to be ready for this, John, is Bark in the Park night.
Oh, I love it.
So the dogs are coming out, and the wife and I are taking our mini dachshund down to walk the warning track before the game. They let you kind of do a little tour around the ballpark and around the field there. So if the Cardinals lose game 1, I might have to give some of these guys a little piece of my mind to get them pumped up for game 2. I know walking my 13-pound wiener dog on the field is probably very intimidating. So I hope these guys are ready to play ball tomorrow. Let's go. Double header.
I hope you're ready for the song "Who Let the Dogs Out" at least 10 times in that game, JD. All right, friends. I'm sure. Thank you for being here tonight. It's MLB Game Night, every game, every night after the last out of the last game. We appreciate everybody who's here, everybody in the comments. Be sure you like and subscribe here on YouTube. And of course, this will be in your audio podcast feed for Locked On MLB as well. For JD Hafron, I'm John Frisch, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night for more MLB Game Night.